Hi.
Gabriel, come back. Yes. Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello
Hi.
everybody. Hi, I'm YQ from Terra Singapore Online. Today we have Gabriel here, right over here on my is it my right side? Yes, my right side. um,
Hi.
hello everybody. So we're very excited today to have Gabriel here because we are talking about I should make it a damn big banner about channeling and intuitive guidance. So if anyone's here, let us know, say hi. While I try to like work this thing so it's bigger. So ding ding ding. So Gabriel, welcome back. It's like the third time. So we talked about so many things, a man of many talents. So today we're
Gemini.
talking Gemini, very good. So anyone who's watching, say hi. We'd love to see you. And then of course we have some questions prepped from everyone as well. So I guess we just for those who are new to Gabriel, could you introduce yourself to us?
So my name is Gabriel. I run my own personal consultation company, Aphrodisia. So I do a couple of things. I do astrology, I do tarot, like YQ. I
Yes, I
forgot
am.
the which side. And I also do something called channeling and intuitive guidance, which
Mm,
is one of the services that I do, I guess. I
yes.
consider it as a modality.
A
Yeah.
modality. All right. So Lynn is here. Hello, Lynn. So
Hi.
yay. So I'm gonna drop Gabriel's Instagram as well. So everyone probably you're already following, but give him a follow if you haven't yet. So today's topic is something that I had been super curious about because personally for me, I tell people I'm not a psychic, and of course as Gabriel mentioned, is that I do tarot and I teach tarot. And a lot of times, what happens is that people are like thinking that I cannot do tarot at all because I cannot like channel, I cannot do this and that, but for me it's like personally I don't see that there's a need for that, but then it's also because I do not know how to channel at all. So I have an expert here to just share with us what it is, and also you're going to share with us how we can do it on our own. Yay.
So I think I will just preface by talking
Mm.
about what channeling
Oh
is.
yes, okay.
I think, but first I need to put up a disclaimer and say
Okay,
that
okay, good.
I am by no means like the expert,
Okay.
right? A lot of what
Got it.
I learn is a lot of what I know now is I think firstly I have someone who taught me, Desiree
Okay.
from
Mm.
Desiree Duclos from Flow Your Boat Therapy,
Okay.
and so there's that, and also I mean after doing a lot of the channeling work,
Mm.
I sort of figure out. I sort of got certain answers and
Okay.
gathered certain understanding for myself. Yes.
Mm. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
So it's
So channeling is basically okay. So what it is basically this. It's sort of like a intuition, but you
mm.
are sort of tapping into a higher wisdom,
Okay.
a
Mm.
higher sort of like a energetic source, or we call it like a
Okay.
higher channel. Um, there are a variety of channels. I mean, one of the most common type of channels would be, I would say, Akashic records.
Yes.
Um,
Okay. Okay. Ah.
Also, like you channel your spirit guides, and there are people who
Mm.
channel from, say, specific angels. There, then all that. So it's pretty much around about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're describing it and then the word channel itself, I'm imagining like radio waves where like you just tune into a particular one. So so I don't know how it works, or I guess yeah, so let's see. I guess you mentioned as well that so channeling for you is kind of like a higher, like higher, is it, or versus
I mean,
intuition? So how yeah.
okay. I think okay, so
Okay.
intuition, I think on some level, when your intuition is very clear, you are listening and you're tapping in and you are
Oh,
channeling.
okay, okay.
Um, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily higher,
Okay.
um, because it is what it is. But
Mm,
if you so things like if you do like tarot and all that,
yes.
one of the things you can try for yourself, okay, is that say for example you do tarot and
Mm,
you just read the cards like that, right?
yes. Yep.
Versus you set the intention to say, okay, let me channel from say my spirit guides, let me use it as a way to as use tarot as a medium to connect between
Mm,
myself and a spirit guide, and you see what the difference is, because the quality
Oh,
of the reading would be different.
okay, okay,
It
yeah.
will be a lot more extensive, and I would say, strictly speaking, on a very technical kind of way, there channeling means that you are channeling to something that's you're tapping onto a different source, a higher source of wisdom for
Mm,
the message. Intuition tends to be a lot more. There's a level of the gut feel. There's a level of that
yes.
that
Mm,
feeling as well.
mm,
But it need not be absolutely different.
okay.
Sometimes if your intuition is clear enough,
Mm,
you may be intuitively sort of like channeling from, yeah, plucking. Yes, exactly right.
mm,
Plucking from somewhere else.
mm.
So in that sense, I guess that's the difference between
Okay.
channeling and intuition.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a question since you mentioned kind of like the I maybe it's like the process. So how is it? Is it a feeling? Because for a lot of us, also I'm gonna just also highlight a few people. My higher source wisdom is working. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
And also Darylyn here. So yeah,
Hi.
so we have quite a few questions coming from Instagram. So I guess, wow, where do we start? Because it's such a big topic. So for you personally, it's like how is it like a feeling? Is it a hearing? Is it a seeing? And we have a
Hmm.
similar question as well. That is related to this. Which let me just try and see. Yeah, wait. Yes. So for this person, will also ask whether it's always by the mind or can it be through the physical touch as well when it comes
Okay,
to
so
channel. Mm,
let's go back to the first question. This one,
okay.
right? Okay.
Okay.
So feeling, hearing, seeing, they are part
Mm.
of your, I mean, the ability to feel and hear and see. They are not channeling per se. They are
Oh,
just
the clean. Oh,
ways
uh,
in which we receive those information.
okay.
So you can see, you can talk about that in terms of like they are your, what we call it, your clear senses, your clear senses.
Mm,
So
mm.
what you do is that, what it does is that, those are the ways in which you receive the message. It is not
Oh.
just it there is no only, or
Mm.
there's no only feeling, only hearing, or only
Ah.
seeing. It can be a couple of things, whatsoever. Different people channel differently, I would say.
Mm.
Some people who see words, there's some people
Oh.
who literally hear like words, or it can be a sense of knowing, it can be a sense of understanding, etc. So all these are a level of are ways in which you can receive what is being channeled. So yeah, so it is really a lot more complex. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So I guess before we even go further, what exactly happens like when you channel? So describe
Okay,
it like
what
step by step.
exact? Okay,
Or
so step by step
oh,
would
oh.
be that, I think firstly, before I channel, I
Mm.
will make sure that I'm grounded, make sure that
Okay.
I'm grounded, I'm clear, and I have like an opening kind of prayer
Okay.
that I always use.
Mm.
You don't necessarily have to have that. The prayer helps you to ground yourself into that state of mind, into that
Mm.
moment. So that will actually anchor you to the session, and then after I do it, I just relax and just allow myself to receive whatever comes. um in the early part of my channeling journey, a lot of it is very here, very in the mind, and
Okay.
I just
Oh.
see a lot of messages. I just see a lot of images.
Uh,
It's like movie, it's like a movie trailer kind of thing. And sometimes it's very hard to
mm,
sort of like to be clear whether, oh, am I
mm,
just imagining things, or am I really receiving what I'm receiving, right? So
mm.
what I eventually moved into, what I was guided to move into, is to,
Yes.
okay, if it's just too messy over here, it becomes like thoughts.
Oh.
Sometimes thoughts are, sometimes they are channeled thoughts, sometimes they are not channeled thoughts. So what happens is that I just wait a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and just feel it in my body. So I
Mm.
find that what I tend to do now is to just, if I'm not very clear with what the message is, if I'm
Yep.
no longer clear with what I'm receiving in terms of the images, the message, or even if my feeling feels very strange, right? What I do is I will hone into sensation in my body,
Okay.
right? So sometimes it could be okay. I'm feeling some kind of like um a clench in my heart here, and I'll just
Mm.
tap into. I just go into there and wait and just see what comes up. Sometimes it could
Mm.
be, oh, I'm feeling very itchy on my
Okay.
right toe. So what is it saying? So I just hone in on
Uh,
that, and then just see and let it unfold. The important
uh,
part for channeling is not so much of I go and grab. It's very
okay.
much about okay, I set an intention to do that and just
Yes.
wait for it to come to me.
Will come to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh, so you mentioned okay. So I have so many questions as well. So let me see. Just like so many questions. I guess one thing that you did put. I also have a question basically which you mentioned. It's like what's the difference between channeling and mediumship? And also I guess like the term psychic as well. How does it play? But then it's like terms everyone can have their own different definitions. So for
Mm,
you personally,
yeah,
how do you define all of these things?
yeah. So definitely different. Yeah, the
So
honestly
many.
the terms is being used in a way that it is quite it's quite messy.
Mm,
It becomes after a while, and even me using the word intuitive guidance is a
yes.
matter of like it's a matter of business. It sounds
Okay.
better than channeling because
Oh,
sometimes
okay, okay.
channeling sounds a little bit more woo, like oh what are you talking
Mm,
about?
yeah.
Don't channel ghosts, don't channel ghosts, that kind of thing.
Yes, I have a question. That someone has a question related to this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So psychic is someone who I would say that what's the what defines the psychic is the psychic senses. So things like the ability to see, the ability to sort of sense things in advance, ability to tell your future in some way, but through like more like cards kind of means. Rather than through like astrology. Astrology is not psychic,
No,
I mean,
no.
if you'll be like, sorry, we based on some kind of there are data that
Pattern.
we yeah, there are data. Astrology is data, right? There's like
Mm.
data, we put it together, right?
Yep, yep.
Psychic tends to be more like a sense, a
Oh.
feeling kind of thing.
Mm,
So yeah, I guess you can, like I think in a broader sense of word, I think you can call me a psychic.
mm.
Um, but I don't really like that term because
Yeah.
that term
Okay.
tends to
Negative.
bastardize.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that that kind of thing. Um, mediumship. Okay, so mediumship and
Mm,
channeling. Honestly, there are people who see them as same. You know,
mm,
um, and in some way, it is also quite similar because essentially you are tapping into a specific energetic field
mm.
and you are sort of getting stuff from there, and then it's either you sometimes medium, typical sort of like mediumship is this person is there
Mm.
talking, one who wants like a message from someone who has passed
Someone.
on,
Okay.
or another type of mediumship is like the space clearing type where the house is
Oh.
haunted, I need to go to
Mm,
the house and can you talk to the ghost in my house, can you like clear the thing. So mediumship, the medium as like a
mm.
term of a profession of a type,
Okay.
tends to deal with more of the dead
L-
energies.
lingering spirits. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they may
Uh,
not be lingering.
oh,
Sometimes they are
oh, okay. Just
deceased loved ones.
oh,
Sometimes they're
oh.
ancestors.
Mm.
Sometimes they tend to be a lot more earthbound. Generally, the
Oh.
mediumship
Ah.
sort of territory tend to be a lot more earthbound, dealing with those earthbound kind of spirits. So earthbound in the
Mm.
sense that they have not they like the spirits are sort of dead,
Mm-hmm.
but they are still stuck in the three-dimensional world that we
Okay.
have here. So they can see, can feel, can touch. Sometimes when you
Mm.
go to specific areas,
Oh.
when you go to say for example like a funeral or a wake,
Mm.
like the energy just feels a bit more dense, a bit more thicker.
Yep.
So sometimes when you go to places that's supposedly haunted, and
Mm.
it's a lot like energy feels a lot like thicker and all that.
Mm. Mm.
So that's very mediumship type of
Ah.
territory. Although
Okay.
I would say it's not there are mediums who speak
Mm.
to a higher forms,
Okay. Okay.
so it is not like a very clean kind of like
Yeah.
a
Mm.
yeah. So channeling is more like I I tap into specific channels and energy. So
Mm.
this analogy was taught to me, which
Okay.
is that we're all like radio, we're all like radio, we're all like radio channel. We're all
Okay.
like the
The
radio,
box, the
yeah, the box thing with the
antennas.
antenna. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Then the FM, AM kind of knob, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So essentially that's what channeling is, like you
Mm.
tap into the different frequencies
Mm-hmm.
to receive messages from there, and
Mm-hmm.
then you give it out, you deliver. So that's essentially
Mm.
what a channeler does.
Okay.
Channeler tend to deal with they tend to deal with higher I mean we call them higher
Mm-hmm.
sort of wisdom and energetic sources. So like sometimes they may not have like they may not be personified.
Okay.
They could be like say things like the Akashic records, right?
Mm.
Or the astral plane, right?
Mm.
Sometimes they can be they personified like Kuan Yin, like
Oh.
Archangel Michael. Sometimes they can also, and something when we say things, oh, I'm channeling the spirit of Elvis, when I dance the Elvis, when I
Oh.
do like when I sing Elvis, I'm channeling the spirit of Elvis, like so in
Yeah.
some way. So channeling as looser, it means that you can channel anything, like
Mm.
even for example, if you want to work with, I talk about tarot magic before, right?
Yes.
Right. So,
Mm.
for example, if you want to tap onto the collective unconscious energy of, say, the magician card, you can
Mm-hmm.
set intention to channel that and
Uh,
and receive. Yeah.
okay.
So it's actually a very loose term. It's actually a very yeah. It's not so discreet. It's not so clean.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So everyone, so we also want to say hi to the other YQ. So hello. Yeah,
Hi.
and everyone, if you have any questions or even if you had any like previous like like thoughts about what mediumship is, so like the layperson's view of it, so that if there's something that we want to like dispel some like myths or anything, we can talk about that as well. So everyone do chime in. Don't feel that I just come here and listen to like people talk, but let us know what you think. Let us know what you've been hearing. Let us know so that we can like have fun together, like everyone, yeah, including everyone watching as well. So the next thing that we're gonna cover is, let me see, how do you use channeling in your work with your clients?
Okay. So these days, I mean, prior to 2020,
Mm,
2020, I think
it's crazy. Yeah.
2019, I still try
Oh,
to
okay.
sell my services like very discreetly. Like
Uh,
channeling means channeling, tarot means tarot, astrology means
mm,
astrology. But nowadays, my work tends to be a lot more mixed.
mm,
Sometimes in the middle of the astrology session, I
mm-hmm,
will choose to just channel, tap in, and just let it flow and deliver.
mm,
And it's very interesting because Mao, like I mean, YQ, you are an astrologer, so let me just share with you like
oh, come.
interesting, like it's really
Uh,
really interesting. Sometimes like I'm talking to a client
uh-huh.
and I set an intention to channel, and
Oh,
like they're just like bothered with something, and they I
mm, stop.
you
Oh,
just cannot like pinpoint, right?
okay.
So sometimes like suddenly you just like image of like astrology glyph
Ah,
will show up, like oh Mars. Then look at the Mars. Oh okay. Now I'm like oh no wonder like Mars is like getting like a transit like right now. Sometimes you may miss some stuff, and sometimes
yes.
it's like what they're saying. You can't seem like what are you talking about, right? But then you look at the
Mm,
Mars and you realize, oh, so actually what they're going through is a very Martian kind of thing. So it
mm,
has happened a few times before.
oh,
Um, like, even in our, like we both learn from May, right?
yep.
In one of my early HMB, very
Uh,
very early like HMB thing with me,
H&B is a
uh,
hard, high, what is it?
Heart Mind Body Festival.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Okay, okay. Yeah. So
So that
everyone.
was like 2017, 2018,
Oh,
around
that's
there. That
okay.
was when I think 2016, 2017, around there,
Okay.
when they would just do like a fun session with
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other. We're just
yeah.
waiting for people to come wrong, right? So I remembered like, oh, May like, oh, I want to, like, May wanted to sit down and like, hey, okay, do like a, not a channeling session, right? Do
Okay,
read
okay.
my astrology for me, like,
Uh-huh.
how we answer these questions as a practice thing lah.
Uh-huh.
Then I just started channeling and just see, oh, let's see what happens. And then interesting thing came up, lor, which she
Ah,
sort of like I think she showed some resonance.
okay, okay.
So
Yes.
channeling as a tool is really more, it's not one thing, it's a lot more varied.
Mm, mm.
I also use it with tarot. I think
Okay.
specifically I use it a lot more with tarot than I do
Mm,
with astrology
yes.
because it's a lot easier to tap in.
Yeah, because
Um,
so I guess it's like because of the pictures versus like as we mentioned just now, it's like data, 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 data from astrology.
mm,
Is that?
yeah,
Mm,
yeah,
mm,
and I find that it's a lot more. It helps to temper the noisy left
mm,
brain kind of like.
mm.
Especially I'm like my Gemini is quite strong, so like
All right.
I'm quite chatty.
Okay.
Yeah, this sort of work allows me to just like not think so much and just
Mm,
trust and follow what I'm feeling and what I'm sensing. Let
mm,
my right brain talk a little bit, and
mm.
then my left brain will just start to use language to bridge that.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what I do. And in many ways, like a lot of like even like energetic work like
Mm.
Reiki is a kind of
Yep.
channeling.
Ooh.
Um because you're sort of like you're channeling and then you are sort of receiving the energy and you're sort of like passing it on through your hands. So
Mm.
that's like really, many types of work is very very much like channeling actually.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned something just now about like the chatty brain. So I think a
Mm.
question user. I won't say user submitted, but you're not a user, guys. You are a follower. I don't know what we call these, but audience question was
Uh-huh.
is whatever you think, see, feel from the session channel message or how to differentiate? Because you were talking about how sometimes your brain is so chatty, and then so how do you tell which is which? Yeah. For
Okay. So okay, this is a difficult
oh,
question.
okay, okay.
Difficult because it's a lot more complex.
Sure.
Okay, let me
Okay.
just try to let me just try to
Uh,
separate it.
okay.
What
Wait,
you see. Oops, what
sorry.
happened?
Okay, go,
Okay,
go.
right.
Okay.
Okay, okay. So I think the very first thing to understand is that a channeling sort of a channeled message, a channeling kind of work
Mm,
is it comes from a space of non-judgment. It is
okay.
infinitely compassionate.
Mm,
It doesn't come from a space of, oh, you're wrong, this is bad, this is good. It doesn't come from that space of like judgment, right?
mm,
So if it becomes like a, oh, like it becomes like a fault, like blame kind of thing,
then
fault finding.
yep.
Then that's not a channel message, that's
Mm,
probably our
okay.
ego speaking.
Mm,
um so how do I differentiate? I think very firstly, I think what I do is I use my body. I try to let it
yes.
when I feel a specific sensation in my body, I sort of let it lead me. Okay.
Mm,
So for example, okay, so sometimes the channel message is very quick. Sometimes it's like, okay, it's like, say for example, this person is asking like, how can I improve my career standing, right?
mm,
Sometimes the message it can be like a literal, like a words, very logical, directional kind of thing, like, oh, what's going on with your career right now is that you're not progressing because you because there's some kind of issues you have with your boss. So
mm,
you don't follow instructions, so you don't like your boss, that kind of thing. So sometimes it could be just messages like this that's very quick, very snappy. Most of the time, I would say it is more sensation and feeling images. Sometimes it appears to be like no link, right? So you'd be
oh,
like, I'm seeing like, this. So what I would do is that I would describe what I
mm,
feel, see, sense, hear, and all that, and then as I start describing, it will open up slowly,
ooh,
right? So it's like, okay, I'm seeing like a heart shape right now, and this heart shape is sort of like a pink in color. It's very beigey. It feels very dull and very down. And then sometimes, then it unfold like, okay, then inside the heart I'm seeing like this little boy getting scolded, getting there's like a tutor or teacher that's sort of using like a ruler, and this guy is sort of like writing very frantically, but there's this whole ruler person at the side. And now I'll tap in, I'll feel, and just like, okay, what is that talking about? What is that saying? And then you'll open up, and then you
Mm,
develop, and
the
then
way you
th-
describe, yeah, it's like a movie. It's feel like the camera has to move. Yeah, if you're just stuck at the heart, then ah,
yeah,
so
sometimes it's visual. For
uh-huh.
me, my greater senses
Okay.
tends to be visual and a sense of knowing.
Mm,
Sometimes the hearing comes as well. Occasionally, there is just sometimes I get like a very clear, like literally like someone talking to me.
okay.
Oh,
Is
that's very very
uh,
like rare, very rare.
oh, so now
Yeah,
no, okay lah. So now we come to a question where I think a lot of people are curious about, because I'm curious about as well. It's let me see uh so this part, so when you say that
right.
there's a voice, then I'm kind of I am slightly like freaked out if there's a voice talking to
Mm.
me, unless it's a very nice voice lah. Then but I don't know how. So a question from one of the audience is like how to make sure that you're channeling the entity. Do we call them entities or different channels, or I don't know.
I try to not give them so much power by calling them
Hmm.
entities. I
Okay,
try
sure.
to just call them energy sources.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
And also because I tend to. The last time I'll still want to be very experimental and just try.
Uh-huh.
Oh, maybe I try certain ascended masters.
Mm.
Nowadays I tend to be like, yeah, let's just focus on like my spirit guides
Okay.
and or the Akashic records. So how do you make sure you're channeling the entity that you want and not others? I think number one, practice.
Mm.
I think the practice is important. Once you're used to it, when it is spraying, you will know. It's like this is very strange. Like, okay, I'm channeling Kuan Yin, but how come I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I don't feel very calm? I feel very
Mm.
angry. And that's not Kuan Yin. That's something else, right?
Okay.
Sometimes it's also about, I would say, research. Although I would say doing research um can take away the power of just experimenting and just receiving it for the first time. Um, yeah. So I like to research lah. So I tend to do that. Another way is to simply um another way is to simply just recognize that the truth is that you cannot 100% confirm, right?
Okay.
Because unless you are like super gifted, like, oh, for sure,
I know.
there's that, right? Sometimes it's very sure. It's just like, okay, this just feels correct
Mm.
sometimes, right? But otherwise, sometimes there are some things. So there are key things to recognize. Number one, if the messages are judgmental, if the messages
Mm.
are sort of like very directive, it's like, okay,
Mm.
you're going to kill this person.
Wow.
You're a horrible person. You suck. Go and die now. That kind of thing,
Mm.
right? Okay,
Okay.
for sure you're not channeling the entity that you want,
Can you just tell him to
because
go away, like
yeah,
bye bye?
you can ask them to F off. You
Oh,
can.
I thought
You just need to
yes.
ask them again, ask them to F off. But sometimes when it goes into that, you need
Uh,
to ask yourself whether so
mm.
it's as long as you are picking sources which are benign,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, they tend to be quite chill, quite
True.
okay, quite neutral.
Mm.
That's why it's very different from like the mediumship type where you're talking to
Yes.
earthbound spirits, because those are very very different.
Okay.
Yeah. So just being able to differentiate between like that versus
Mm.
like this whole like angry kind of energy
Mm.
would be one of the key things that you can help yourself. And no, so key things, know that it's non-judgmental, it is
Mm.
compassionate, usually
Mm.
usually
Okay.
and know that you are, and as long as you go away from the session feeling like quite clear, quite cleansed, then it's pretty
Mm.
much the right energy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's great. Yay. Then I think then we have a question from. Let me just add to stream. So it's like so someone wants to know the entire process. How do you do it? Do you need to play music? Do you, da, 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 da.
I do feel like space is important thing. Important thing to set up your space. Because having like a clean space helps in that. You feel good in the space. Um, it helps with the work as well.
Mhm.
Sorry, where's the question again?
Sorry, yeah,
Sorry,
yellow, yellow. Sorry, I get so distracted myself.
sorry.
Okay, okay, okay.
Music no need lah,
Sorry, yeah.
unless you
Okay.
want to channel. Channeling is just receiving the energy,
Yeah,
and
because you were saying that when you do it with clients, then of course you don't like play music and then
yeah,
so
yeah. Channeling is just receiving the energy,
uh,
and what you want to do with the energy, how you want to channel the energy outwards, it's
mm,
up to you. You can do
mm,
it through hands. Sometimes, if let's say you are playing singing bowl,
okay.
you may want to channel and play the singing bowl as well. Even when you draw, even when you write, write your masterpiece. You
Mm-hmm.
know how like the Greek has this idea of the muses,
Yes, yes, the muses are yes. Oh,
right?
and
And
also the idea of genius as well.
yeah, yeah,
The-
and a lot of artists, and even in the olden days, they swear by the muses, they swear by the genius. They're essentially channeling.
yes.
So
So
it's
so
sorry,
mm.
sorry, please.
No, no, no. I guess want to explain to the audience. I was reading Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. So the theory is that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one. That's the one.
yes,
Yes.
yes. So the theory is that the genius is not something that you have, but it's something that everyone has, and then it's like you need to catch it, or you need to like basically when it comes to you, grab hold of it instead of letting it go. And in her book, something very interesting that she talked about is that she had an idea for a book that also came up somewhere else as well. So it's like this shared energy, as you mentioned, is like
Mm,
it's basically it wants to like someone use me, and then they will just I don't want to say find hosts lah. So but finding people who are like willing to accept, willing to take it on,
mm,
to turn like the ideas into something physical as well.
mm,
So that was something
mm.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm.
that's essentially channeling. So
Mm.
okay, so walk through my entire process.
Okay. Yes.
Um. So definitely I need to ground.
Okay.
Nowadays I don't need to ground as much because I'm more stable and more secure in my ability, so I care less.
Okay.
Although you shouldn't, okay? We
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you should. I mean, so if there are days when I feel a bit like I don't feel very certain, I will just take the time to ground.
Mm.
So sometimes I like to have a grounding crystal. I use petrified wood. Just hold
Petrified.
on
Mm.
to just hold solid and just ground my
Mm-hmm.
energy. So once I ground, I am ready to receive, and I'll always say like, so I have a so in the class I did with Desiree, so there are different traditions. There are specific
Okay.
traditions where so there are purists from the Akashic tradition where, oh, there are specific prayers that you need to do. It needs to be like that.
Mm.
But what I learned from Desiree is more of an intention.
Okay.
You have the intention, and then you let the words guide the intention. So this is my prayer. My prayer. So I'll just recite my prayer.
Okay.
This is the prayer that I crafted in, and I still use is, I come in acknowledgement of the great divine. Protect me from all forms of self-centeredness as I come in love, light, and truth with a pure intent to be a perfect, sacred, and clear channel for the highest energy received from Dash. Dash
Mm-hmm.
as in it can be
Whoever.
any
Yeah.
channel you want. It could be from the Akashic Records, from my angels, from whoever, for whose highest and greatest good. So if it's I'm doing it for myself, I'll say for my highest and greatest good. If I'm doing it for Yunqing, I'll say for Yunqing's highest and greatest good. Sometimes when I do, yeah, when I used to do card of the day in
Yes.
my channel, I always go for like for a third ICS audience highest and greatest good. Yeah,
Mm.
in order to ensure that the people that finds my work needs to
Yes.
find my work.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, and
So
everything else is just trust and just like flowing with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, yeah, no, yeah. I guess the trust thing is very very important because as some of the audience mentioned, it's like, how do you know whether it's true or not? Just let it go and trust. Yeah.
yeah. You just have to let it go and trust, and trust that you, even if it's like a lousy, terrible session, you will learn what you need to learn.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we have a question on YouTube. Is what was the most unusual channeling you've received or surprised you? Mm.
Oh man.
Oh man.
actually a lot of like
Okay.
surprising stuff.
Ah,
Really a lot of surprising stuff. But I can only recall like one of the more recent ones.
okay.
I think there's this one that I did for one of my UK clients. She's the founder of her company.
Mm,
Um, so it was a question about abundance and all that, and um, something along the lines of like following your rhythm, following your rhythm rather than the rhythm of what is being set for you.
mhm,
So there's this whole like swaying kind of thing
mm,
that came in for me. So it was a message about how she needs to follow her own rhythm rather than letting other people's rhythm dictate her, because she talks about how she doesn't have time to rest, she always cannot rest.
mhm.
And then something about working with the moon cycles came along.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So how? Yeah,
Uh,
like it's quite. I don't want to say random lah, but then it's like what? Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So it was kind of random.
Okay.
But it was also not very random.
Okay.
Because we she's my longtime client, so I know her chart. Her moon is quite strong. Her Cancer energy is strong.
Okay.
So there's
Okay.
something about working with the moon cycles and all that. And when I said it, I'm just like, oh, that's very interesting. I never thought about this before. Then I go and try, I go and like research a bit. Then so I'm trying to do this whole like manifestation in the moon kind of thing at the
Oh yes.
moment. So
Okay. Okay.
it's interesting lah, these things. Also, yes, one of the most okay, another unusual channeling that surprised me. Okay, this is really really cool. Two
Okay.
three years ago,
Uh-huh.
I would say 2 3 years ago, when I first finished my session with Desiree,
Mm-hmm.
my learning with Desiree, a group of us came together, and Desiree hosted the session. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just like practice group channeling, like like everyone channel together as a group, and then the
Mm-hmm.
source was like galactic energy, right?
Okay.
So it's like so basically like you're channeling like certain like very high like whatever, don't know what dimension lah. So
Mm.
my experience with galactic energy has like even in the class itself, when I was doing that segment of the class,
Uh-huh.
I'm just like what the heck, what is this?
Me too a bit. I mean, for me, it's
Just
also like I'm
what are you
thinking
talking
like ET.
about? Like, yeah, like what is this? And just like so like I went into the session with a lot of that trepidation, a lot of that yeah, whatever lah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then interestingly, when I was tapped into the session, well, my body started like swaying and vibrating. Like I just kept like moving and moving, and it was so strong. And it was like, oh, like a lot of messages about, oh, in 2 to 3 years time, um something big is going to happen. It's going to change the human consciousness. It will be a bit about the environment, a bit about people, about like this whole like watershed. And we need to start, you people who has this gift now, you all need to start, going out there and doing the work, blah blah. So when I was in tune, I
Um,
felt it to be like very true. I was just like, wow, very exciting. And like just talking about it now, I feel like I'm trembling, my whole body just like trembling and wriggling and all that. And then when COVID happened,
really?
in the middle of the month, I just text like the single and I say, oh my god, guys, do you guys remember what we did the last time? What came out? And everyone was like, oh my god, yeah, 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 yeah. Let's go and listen to the channeling recording that we did right now. So
Yes.
yeah, so a couple of us went back to listen. So it was like these things like really interesting, really like really very surprising. Because that
Mm.
time when I got the message of like, oh,
So
in two
far,
to
right?
three
Yeah.
years time there's a watershed. In my mind I'm just like, really
Yeah.
man, like what kind of
Oh,
watershed will it
yeah.
be?
Yellow. Uh.
Yeah. Then it was only like COVID happened. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it, I get it.
Then the intergalactic beings are finally. I told you like 3 years ago. So yeah. So anyone has any other question? Let us know as well. Let me just let me just see. Yeah. Um. So. So you shared like how you. Let me just also see. So you shared how you do it, and then also. See channeling or feeling. Yes. Physical touch. Physical touch.
Physical
I'm
touch can also.
yes.
Can also.
Oh, okay. You were
Some
mentioning
people,
your body, sensing the body. Yes.
yeah,
Uh,
sometimes there are people who channel using crystals. They work with,
okay.
they channel the crystal spirit
Mm,
in the crystal. So in some way you can channel through that as well.
oh,
Crystals are generally not really my forte. I mean, I know a lot, but
mhm.
I don't practice it enough.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Okay, so okay, yeah, I changed it. While you're
You
talking.
mentioned you're channeling the energy you want and all
Yeah,
other.
the one we talked about just now. I was like, okay,
Right,
give it.
right.
So okay, so let me just see whether we have covered everything. But personally for me, personally for me, I'm trying to, yeah. So I mentioned in the beginning that when I'm teaching tarot, I tell people. So for me, it's like I don't want like the spirituality of side of things and then like the tarot side of things to be something that is like gatekept, because sometimes people feel that they cannot get into it because, oh, I'm not a born psychic, I'm not a born la. So um when you mentioned like how it's just it's so I was also trying to like phrase my own thoughts. So the way you say it made me feel that it's not something that is like undoable, because I don't know whether you guys watching, whether you also like hear things, feel things, or like see things, that it could be you think that, oh, you know what, it's maybe it's my mind talking, it's or whatever that it's talking, but maybe you personally are channeling, so that you aren't actually knowing it. Yeah. So
I think firstly I just want to acknowledge that
mm.
actually everyone can channel. It is
Everyone.
not like
Yes.
it
Yes.
is not it is not it is not like
Give,
some
yeah.
people are gifted or whatsoever.
Mm,
Everyone
mm,
can do it.
mm.
Because we are all radio stations in one way or another. Right? It's just about, okay, I set my intention for that and I receive. We all can channel. Some
Shan.
people naturally can do it better because a lot more sensitive. Some
Mm,
people may not be, but that doesn't mean that you can't train that. A
mm,
lot of times I would say um a lot of why we lost the gift
mm,
is not so much of I'm not gifted to begin with. A lot of time is because we lost it through societal conditioning. A lot of time is when we start using our head a lot and we stop trusting our guts, our
yeah.
feelings, our body. Everything has intelligence,
Mm,
even our body has intelligence.
mm,
In a lot of I think in a lot of in ontological coaching, which my
mm.
partner does,
Oh,
they have this they talk about how body has intelligences.
yes.
Like that the
Mm,
body is intelligent in one way, it will correct itself in one way or another. So even
mm.
manifestation of illnesses, say,
Oh,
I'm sick and I get cancer and all that, that's your body trying to that's like manifestation or physical manifestation of something that's internal, right?
mm,
So a lot of time, the question to ask about channeling and this body of work is not whether I'm gifted,
yes.
but more, but more of um, how can I return
Mm,
to the neutral state that
mm,
I have always been,
mm,
right? Um, I would say the best channelers are people who have done some internal work. I mean, and I think the person that taught me, she explained to me also that sometimes they say, oh, you need to do Reiki attunement, then you can do Reiki. You need to do like you need to get attuned in order to do certain things. Or say some specific like healing modality need to be attuned to the energy whatsoever. Um, so what she actually said is that attunement is actually just clearing your body, your system. It's just
mm,
like, it's like it's like a pipe. I pull, like, yeah, I wash the pipe,
uh,
with the energy, and then
uh,
you clear it so that you are more clear and more attuned to
mm,
the energy, more attuned to receive whatever
mm,
energy that in. And this is something that I believe in, and I trust, and I think it's true, which is that you don't need to be gifted in specific tradition or whatsoever, but doing work on yourself helps. Work as in
mm,
like self work,
yes.
understanding your tension, your
Mm,
triggers, understanding what are some of the stuff in your life that you have a grudge with, maybe it's my your mother, your father, that kind of thing. Once you've dealt with those things, it gets better. You'll be clearer. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So when you mentioned something about how we all have inbuilt these like sensings, right? One of the books that is like totally unrelated to this, but it's called like The Gift of Fear. Basically, it's like someone who's teaching that sometimes people have six senses where you know what, oh, something bad's gonna happen, and then they don't listen to it, and then turns out it something bad does happen to them. So it's because our body, like as you mentioned, it's like we know, but a lot of times, as you mentioned, it's like we have been taught not to listen to it, or even for a lot of the case studies in the book, basically it's like women who like are like nice to people who eventually like take advantage of them because we were like trained to be like, you know what, you feel icky, but maybe you know, let's just be nice. So we are like actually
Mm,
blocking the natural senses that is there, and then
mm,
like the teachings are like on top of us lah. So all right, I'm gonna say hi to Cliff. So
uh-huh.
hello. Cliff says hello. Hello. Yeah. So wow.
Hi.
So yes,
Yeah.
yes. Mm. I was
Oh,
gonna
I was
ask
saying
that.
that. Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, no, 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 no.
Um,
So everyone, if you have any questions, let us know as well. We would love to cover them. But yes, so please continue. Yeah.
yeah, I want to also say that there is so yes, like things like that. Sometimes there's like you get bad jujus and all that. I think the difficulty is to understand whether is it really bad vibes or is it programmed fear.
Mm,
Sometimes when we meet certain situations many times that we sort of develop like automatic sort of like a defense mechanism that kicks in.
mm-hmm,
um Sometimes it can be like, oh, I know this is going to be bad, so like I better not go and do it. Sometimes it's also about understanding whether it is really that, or whether you are governed by fear and therefore you don't want to look at that, that comes in, because automatically, like, your instincts go into like automatic. I think the difficult part is how do you differentiate the automatic
mm,
versus what is real channel kind of thing that come to
yeah.
you.
So how do
um
you? Mm,
i I'm still figuring out.
mm-hmm,
I'm more I'm more want to say that I'm more want to say that there's no bad juju. I'm more want to say that there's no good or bad. It, unless there is like a very clear, because the thing is that sometimes when it's about like, oh, don't meet these people, they might take advantage of you. That's very fear based, and
mm.
so I don't think that's very channeling. That
Oh,
may be intuition. That may be
mm,
intuition,
oh,
instinct sort of like taking over and just like being very sensible.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't really have a very very good answer lah. I
Okay.
tend to nowadays I tend to, even with situation which is difficult,
Mm-hmm,
and I have like very bad, like kind of like a, like, oh, like I feel very asphyxiated, in this situation. I tend to give it the benefit of doubt, and just and say that, okay, yes, I'm feeling this way.
mm-hmm,
I'm not sure whether it is my feelings. Is it just my fear program instinct that's kicking in? Because I have my own stuff and story about how I was bullied when I was young, and therefore like this situation of being overpowered becomes something that I am inherently always struggling with, and every time something reminds me of that, I immediately go into this whole, okay, I need to be fearful, I need to be careful, I need to guard myself against that. um but sometimes it's also to just trust that whatever, okay, if I choose to trust that whatever
mm,
comes means whatever comes, whatever I need to deal with, whatever I need to learn from it, I will learn from it. So
mm.
I don't really have a very good answer lah.
Okay. No worries, no worries. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Life is hard. Yeah. So for everyone watching the show, is it a show? Yes, it's a show. Do you have any questions? Let us know as well. And then we lost your share screen. So later
Oh,
you can. Yes, we lost it.
I
So
will yeah,
yeah,
let me know when I can share screen. Maybe I'll do
you,
it later. Any other questions?
yeah, everyone,
And for
let us know.
everyone.
Mm. So if someone wants to start doing channeling on their own,
Mm.
number one would be to set
Oh,
intention to
okay.
listen. Yes.
Yes, set intention. I would say if you want to start channeling on your own,
Mm-hmm.
go with uh okay, I think the easiest for me is to go with your spirit guides. Go with your spirit guides, go with your higher self,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um Also, yeah, spirit guides is usually easier. Higher self is easier as well. If you feel very like yeah distrustful and all that, right? And you pray to certain if you pray to certain like gods
Mm,
or certain deities, and you know what they are like, then you know set your intention to receive from them.
so it's like a
Yeah.
safe channel.
Yeah, things that yes, channels which you are more accustomed to, you're more familiar with. If you want to start, that's great. So
Mm.
Kuan Yin is quite, for example, Kuan Yin is quite everybody lah.
Yeah, every-
Yeah, and if you are very Judeo-Christian in your beliefs, Jesus is I find that Jesus is quite easy to receive as well.
okay.
Yeah, these are more like open, more like more chill. Buddha is also one. Although I
Okay.
would say Buddha is not very exciting. It's very zen.
It's so
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I'm like,
it's very zen. Yeah. So yes, interestingly, the different sources like have very different kind of energy.
okay, okay,
Like
yeah,
Buddha is very zen. Jesus is quite.
chill.
There's a chill, but there's like a very loving kind of manliness to that. Kuan Yin is very like Kuan Yin is like it's very much !aiyo! What happened to you? How are
Oh,
you? That kind of like very motherly kind of energy.
okay.
Any other songs that I've tried, huh?
We have a question. It's like Chinese gods, like
Chinese gods, huh? I'm not very familiar. I think can. I'm just not very familiar. Can try. uh, can try. There was a period of time when I was just like, oh, I want to try everything. I want to connect to every gods and
okay,
channel from them. Um, but I think the important part is to build relationship.
build.
Yeah, because if you don't build relationship, it's harder.
Mm,
It's harder to come easily. So Kuan Yin, for example, is someone that I work with in and
mm.
out, even before I'm spiritual. Like
Ah,
she's a very big part of my life. So
mm,
it's easier to tap into her energy and it's easier to build that relationship. I also do Archangel Michael.
okay.
Very suave, very manly, very like very good energy to, especially when you are like especially when you need protection, when you feel unsafe, when you want to like okay like someone is like infringing your boundaries and you're like okay I need to like draw the line.
Mm-hmm.
Archangel Michael is a good one to channel from,
Mm,
and I would say easier to channel than other most other angels.
okay. Ah. So I'm now
Yeah.
thinking like, can I also do like Greek gods and goddesses? I'll go try my.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Yes.
my god,
Yeah. I
exciting!
tried with
Pantheon.
I did a I think 2018, is it late 2018, I think. Yeah, I did like a random like a solstice kind of like ritual
Oh,
thing with my friends, and Athena came in, and
I
it's very
love
interesting. Yeah,
Athena. Oh
yeah,
my
Athena
god,
is
I
great.
love her.
Like she came in and basically she said like I think
Let
she
me
told me like
show
okay you need to plan you need to strategize I
you.
was like oh okay.
Oh, I have a
So yeah, yes, because they're
button.
all energy forms. Even oh, this is beautiful.
It's
This
from
is very nice.
Taobao. It's a thing.
Like
Hello.
even tarot archetypes can be channeled as
Yes.
well.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I
Yeah.
love the magician. Yeah. So, okay, okay, yeah. So we have a question from Elia. It's like, do you offer any classes or workshops uh to learn to channel? I think you should. Like, yeah.
It is definitely better to learn in groups.
Ah,
I don't offer yet.
okay.
I
Yeah.
may start to. I've
Mm,
been I've been like in resistance to teaching for a very long time.
why?
I mean, you are doing tarot. May's doing astrology. I've
Yeah.
been. I mean, I've been. Yeah. I mean,
Everyone
I
wants to
feel like
learn. Come on, from
I think
you.
it's just the whole like codifying. I think
Oh,
for me, it's like the whole codifying it is difficult. Like, I mean, I think you would understand that even even when you try to teach tarot,
Even
it's
I'm
not so.
actually having problems like putting it down for the syllabus for the intermediate class because it's
Mm,
like it's in my head. How? Yeah.
mm.
All
Even
right. Right.
even even if you teach like tarot, like in the basic meaning, right?
Mm,
Once you like reach a certain level, sometimes the
yeah.
meanings are just the meanings, but it's just
Oh,
something else, you know. Like
yeah.
how do
Then,
you teach
then
that?
people get very frustrated. That the thing I guess now we're just like chit chat gossip, but people
Yeah,
get very frustrated that like after you reach a level, then you can do whatever you want with it. So someone is like, how can it have so many meaning? Might as well not read about the meanings. So sometimes you just need the basics. It's like the
yeah,
kung fu novels. Who was it? Ling Hu Chong. So he had to learn like a bunch before he can just like let go and then be Ling Hu
yeah, yeah. And that's the reason why I am resistant to
Chong.
teaching because
Mm.
I don't know how. For me, it's like no matter how you lay down like a foundation of syllabus, there's there's no way to capture everything. So that's why I'm like,
But like primary one, you learn this. Primary two, you learn this. You don't learn algebra in primary one, ma. You just start with primary one first, lor.
yeah, I guess I will eventually qualify into.
Do
I
it.
think next year I am thinking about qualifying into that lah. Hello.
Man. Yeah,
So next year
yeah.
I think I'm definitely thinking about codifying some of my works into some kind of teaching, sometimes of some kind of syllabus I can teach.
Mm. Okay, so we have a question. I heard there are guides that do not want to tell you who they are. Is that a red flag? Mm.
Oh, thank you,
Mm.
Isin, for this question.
Okay. Mm.
My question is it important?
Is it
Is
important?
it
Yeah.
important to know who they are?
Mm.
Sometimes, I think that I had a period in my life. I think when I first started my spirituality journey, when I want to know who I'm working with. Whenever there's something new,
I'm
or like
tech.
I sense that there's something new, I need to go and research. Oh, why is it? Why is it? Why is it? Is it this god? Is it this particular god and all that? Um, After a while, I let that go.
Mm.
I don't think it's a red flag per se, unless it's only a red flag when they ask you to go and die.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if Gabriel mentioned is that the messages are not compassionate, they're not kind, then
they're not kind, they're not compassionate, they're judgmental, they're malicious.
mm,
Then they are not your guides. No matter what they claim, they are not your guides.
yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of like the kind and everything, right? Sometimes I get a bit it's not very spiritual of me to say this. Is like, I get very annoyed where all the messages are like so nice, so nice. Then
Mm,
that's just me lah.
mm.
It's like
Is your Saturn very strong?
it's my I have moon Saturn like like conjunct
Mm,
tight, yeah. So
mm.
in yeah. So I guess that's it lah. So it's like why is everything so nice? Yeah. The
Saturn people with very strong Saturn, they don't like to take nice stuff.
hello, it's like everything has to
Everything
be
is hard, ma.
hard.
Yeah,
It's not worth it. Okay. But
yeah.
I try to.
I think that um I
Mm.
think that it's important to recognize that well, I mean, I think it's important to catch what is your resistance to those
Yeah.
like nice messages. Where does it coming from?
Yeah, true, true,
Uh,
true. Yeah.
I have that lah. I had that. Now I'm just
Had
like, okay, I'm
okay.
cool. I can do this.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's like, well, why does it need to bother me at all? Like
Yeah.
people can consume nice stuff. Yeah, but that's just me. I need to work on.
Mm.
Yeah. So everyone else in the comments, let us know. If you have any more questions. So Gabriel is also gonna share, like how he can guide you along as well. Yeah. So, are you ready to?
Oh, share screen. All right. Okay, I'm gonna share screen. Okay, share
Yes, but everyone
screen.
else, let us know your questions. I think it does take a bit of time before the things pop up in our space. So type it now. Okay.
Am I
So
sharing it?
yes, we are sharing it. Yay.
Okay, yes. Okay, so this is my Instagram deck
Mm,
on the intuitive guidance. So intuitive guidance is it's just I mean, so for me, it's a nicer name for channeling. it's a more it's a more business
Relatable.
mobile
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
global, less like oh woo woo kind of name. But it's actually the same thing. For me, like it's the same thing.
Okay.
So this is my deck. So it's about whether you're listening to the messages that you get. So my job, this is my job. My job is to tune in and deliver them to you.
Mm,
Um, so this the why you should do it. Understand. So yeah, I think the great thing about channeling is that it's not just about understanding what happened, but understanding what is on a divine scale,
mm,
on a very big macro level, what is happening and why is it happening for you? What are you meant to get out of whatever that's happening for you? Okay,
mm.
whether there's any cause that is fundamentally sort of like causing this thing to happen. Understand your soul lesson. Understand, yeah, like I said, your biggest lesson, what you're meant to learn from all these things,
Okay.
and receive the practical solution, what you can do.
Mm,
Okay, so these are my suggested topics,
okay.
and yeah, I mean it's a lot more gray. These are the
Yes.
clearer ones that I do. Yeah, I
So
think,
you
yeah, and this is
so you mentioned that you do astrology, tarot, and like a channel guidance as well. So so when people come to you, do they need to like, you know what, I want this, I want that, or how do you recommend, like, before people coming to you, what they need to know, or even like what are they going through, and then how are these type of people more suitable to come?
right. So this is something that I've developed over the years, which is that I always, before I receive a client, I will always do a contracting call with them.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I will talk to them for like maybe 15 to 30 minutes, just to ask them, like, why are they trying to get a session with me? What is their purpose? What do they want from it? And to clearly define what they want from it. Um, and also for them to prep them on the session. And so being able to understand what they're looking for means that I know what I can
Mm,
sort of offer them.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
so
mm.
that's what I tend to do now. So yeah, so that's how I do it now lah. So it's a lot more nowadays, a lot more mixed lah. Nowadays,
Mm.
yeah.
So how can people get in touch and I don't know, shoot.
Oh,
Yes.
if you want to get in touch with me, you
Yeah.
can oops, I will go back to my so okay, so there's no offer anymore because this is like a while back. But the energy exchange for now, the energy exchange, if anyone wants to do like a channeling session with me, the energy exchange is still 100 per hour,
Mm,
unless you are an existing client that you've done sessions with me in 2020, at least 2 hours, then you get it at a cheaper rate. But otherwise, for this year, until the end of the year, it's $100 per hour.
mm.
After the end of the year, my rate will all overall it will all increase.
Sign up now. Yeah. So the
Yes,
link
sign
is
up
down.
now.
Yes. Click. So there's a link.
So
Yeah,
link I will. How can I share the link? Do I share the link
yeah.
to?
So is it different? Yeah. You
Do
can.
you want me to type it out?
Yeah. You can share to me, and then I'll pop in the comments as well. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, just send them my Instagram lah. You can
Okay.
just
Yeah.
get in touch with me through Instagram. Yeah.
So DM, is it DM? Yes. So DM Gabriel right over here. And anyone has any last question, let us know, or else we'll be wrapping it up as well. So, oh, okay, just popped up. All right, all right. So I think, yeah. So thank you so much for today's session. I think
Thank you.
there are no questions coming in. So if you have anything you want to ask Gabriel, go and DM him right over there, Instagram.com/Gabriel.Cs. And when I saw, it's like, is your surname C? Is your surname
No,
C?
no. I mean, okay. Let's not go why
No, no,
it's Gabriel dot Cs because
okay, long
it's
story.
a long
Sorry.
story.
Right. So thank you everyone for watching. And then of course, if you have any follow-up questions, let them know. And then if you have anything you want us to cover in the future, let us know as well. And then I'll definitely try to find people. And Gabriel knows a lot of things. I can definitely like, go back, hey, you know what, this topic, and it's like, yeah, I
Yay,
can do it. Yeah. So all right.
yay.
Thank you everyone for
Bye.
being here today. We
Thank
will
you.
you guys with a closing video.